Hi, Ethan. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good. Sidney Michelle for Black Film and TV. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, this film thoroughly freaked me out, so mission accomplished. But as one of the most iconic actors of our time, I'm sure this role was not too hard for you. But as a woman who falls asleep on crime documentaries, tell me how you prepared for this role, if any. Did you research any serial killers, really pick up on their mannerisms and so on and so forth? Tell me how you trained for this role.
Well, it was really difficult for me to know. First of all, I was very weary of inviting that kind of madness into my imagination, even. There's certain things you don't want to teach yourself, like how somebody could be horrible to young people. Like, I don't want to know. Like,
Mhm.
I've had problems before when, if I was playing a character who had to be suicidal or something, and you really start to work and think about depression, and
Mm,
and the more you think and consider it and see it from your character's point of view, the more depressed you get. You,
mm,
and it kind of can bring you. It's like a guided meditation into a place you don't want to go.
mhm,
And if you're an actor, your job is empathy, and seeing the world through your character's eyes and stuff. And this character was absolutely terrifying. I didn't want to see the world through his eyes, you know. And I'd never been asked to do mask work before. I
mm,
know the history of drama has lots of mask work. Whether you're talking about Greek theater or Freddy
mhm,
Krueger or Jason, like what the history of masks are interesting. And I had no idea how to begin to prepare because the last thing I
mm.
want to do is read a bunch of literature about somebody who was horrible to kids. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's not a fun thing to do.
Yeah, you don't
I
want
had,
to internalize that.
yeah, and so what I really just tried to I really started just seeing him as a broken thing, as like a computer switchboard that somebody hit with a hammer when he was young, and now all the wires are crossing, and there's just a madness at present. So I started to see him more as of a living entity representing just the malevolent force of the universe that's just at
Yeah.
work, and it's destroyed him, and now he's destroying others. And the mask really helped me. Scott put so much artistry and thought into how the mask could work and how, this half, that half, this half, that half, and that I just tried to ride that wave and see him as
Okay.
this broken machine.
Okay. And the mask kind of help with that disguise. I love
Well,
that. I love
it
that.
helped me remove myself from it. There's something
Okay.
weird about when you put a mask on, you kind of stop feeling like yourself because
Right.
you nobody's reading you. And so body language becomes important, vocalization becomes important, but the sense of identity changes. There's a great Bob Dylan line that says, anybody who's wearing a mask means they're telling you the truth, and anybody who doesn't have a mask on means they're lying. And I take that to mean that the one thing this guy's honest about is that he is ashamed of himself. He does not want
Definitely.
to be seen. He tells you
Definitely.
that.
Yeah. And the moment when the mask comes off, he totally freaks out. So you're
Totally
100%
freaks out. Yeah,
totally has a meltdown.
yeah.
But just to wrap, I talked to Scott about this, and I love the complexity of this being a thriller and a horror film. The former victims, of your character, come back to actually be a positive, to the main character and to help him get out of your character's of his grasp. And I love that because in most horror and thriller films, you see spirits or ghosts with a negative connotation. But in this film, they're helping him almost. So would you agree with that? The theme of good versus evil with this film?
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say that exactly before, and you're so right. That is what's special about it. Benevolent ghosts. And also, there's something at the working of this film that's about not seeing yourself as a victim, and that
Mm-hmm.
when you take ownership, the way that this brother and sister, they take ownership of their life. The world is not helping them. The world is
Right.
not rooting for them. whether we're talking about the parents or the grabber or the cop, nobody's helping them.
They're
And
not
they have to,
protected.
yeah, and they make this switch and they stop seeing themselves as victims and they protect themselves. And I find I think that's what I love about the movie. The grabber is not very interesting to me, really. It's just this force of evil in the world that we all know exists. People do terrible things all the time and don't look after each other. But at least in this situation, this brother and sister watch each other's back and help each other.
Yes, and then the ghosts come and
Yeah,
help
right.
their
And you brought me
cause
back to the ghosts. And the ghosts, that's where I was going with that. The ghosts are victims too, but they start having agency as well. And they start helping somebody else and they defeat the force. So I found that really like a weird meditation on beating the victim rap. Yeah, these kids have been hurt, but they can strike back.
100%. And just to close, in October, it was the 20th anniversary of Training Day, and that's one of my favorite movies. 20 years later, how can you reflect on your career just as this iconic acting great in our world?
I don't know. I remember I did a talk back with Antoine Fuqua about the 20th anniversary because we premiered it at the Toronto Film Festival, and Antoine and Denzel and I had such an amazing. It was just, like it's what we're trying to do here with Black Phone. The cop genre is a genre that's been done a lot. How do you do something good with it? How do you make it special again? And that was one of the singular best experiences of my career. Denzel at the top of his game with one of his best roles. Antoine was dying for that opportunity, and he just hit it out of the park, and they both gave me a chance to play with them. And, every now and then, we're always trying to make great movies every time we start, but every now and then the stars align and it works.
It sure did. Well, thank you so much, Ethan. Thank you for everything you give us. Between Training Day and 20 years later with Black Phone, you always add such a complexity to your film. So thank you for everything you do. And
Appreciate
I can't wait
it.
for it to hit theaters.
Me too. Take care of yourself.
Ethan. All right, you too.